Chargers. Oweh in the final year of his current deal. And then the Ravens get safety, Odafe Oweh in return. The teams also swapped late-round picks. Mina, this really sticks out to you as a fascinating football move. Why?
Yeah, it tells us a lot about what these teams think about their needs and their rosters. So from the Chargers standpoint, let's start here. Gilman was a starter, and I thought he was playing well this year. But they must have felt with Khalil Mack hurt, they desperately needed pass rush. And they like Elijah Molden to fill in on the back end. Meanwhile, on the Ravens side, I mean, they got needs everywhere. This, to me, is a vote of confidence in Mike Green, maybe, the second-round pass rusher that they drafted this season. But now you have more safety depth. You have Starks. Hamilton is injured, but he'll come back. It's not a serious injury. I wonder, with the issues that they're having at linebacker, if they think we're going to play, I don't know, more big nickel, more. I mean, they might have to mix up their looks in the back end. But this is a really fascinating move from a Ravens pass rush that has not been getting after the quarterback.
Yeah, from a right now perspective, if you look at the teams that are playing at a level that will be in the playoffs in the AFC, the teams that jump out are Buffalo, Indianapolis, firmly believe Kansas City's going to get there, Jacksonville. They're all a little bit more run-centric than they are pass-centric. Now, Kansas City kind of on that line. This for Baltimore, on the outside of looking in playoff-wise right now, I don't think it does anything for their run defense, which has been an issue.
Yeah.
Their secondary has been a problem as well. I don't know if it changes that much.
Really quick,
I find it odd.
There's a little bit of a long-term aspect here. They exercised Oweh's fifth-year option. This suggests clearly that they didn't want to give him a big contract next year. So maybe the feeling was like, he's going to walk. Let's get a good player.
So they add safety
Gilman.
Aloha Gilman.
And C.J. Gardner-Johnson today in Baltimore,
Yes,
right?
they did. Yeah. They're making moves.
All safeties.
Really fast. You guys think the Harbaugh brothers got on the phone to make this trade?
Really
I'm sure
funny.
that's
I didn't even
and
think
the
about that
GM,
aspect of it.
the general manager for the Chargers is from the front office
That's right.
of Baltimore.
That's right.
So,
Yeah.
sure.
I don't know.
That's really funny.
The nitty gritty is so interesting. All right. Elsewhere in the AFC, let's talk a little bit more. Not expected much from this AFC South this season. And then look at this. The Texans had the best chance to make the playoffs entering the season at just north of 50%. But a pair of 4-1 starts from the Colts and the Jaguars have both put themselves in great playoff position. We haven't seen multiple playoff teams from the AFC South since the 2020 season. Mina, we've talked about Shane Steichen and Daniel Jones turning around the Colts offense, but how has this Colts defense changed?
Man, they're not the best defense in the NFL, but they're one of the most interesting this year. And obviously, defensive coordinator Lou Anarumo was a big part of why. Dan, a couple things jump out, and a lot jumps out to me, but two things. One is just the ability to change game to game and individually game plan for opponents. I know you're going to get into that, but like last 2 weeks, man, like you go from the Rams, obviously you're playing a ton of zone against them because you're worried about them beating you out over the top. Then in the first half against Las Vegas, team without Brock Bowers or much threat at receiver, 70% man coverage. So that flexibility is something that Lou Anarumo has really brought to a unit that you remember under Gus Bradley pretty much just played cover 3. Then the other thing I wanted to highlight, they throw so much at you in pressures, like different styles of pressures. The simulated pressures they use simulated pressures at the 5th highest rate in the NFL this year. You saw that both Geno interceptions, one was the tip ball. They had the edges dropping out all game long, flustering the Raiders' offensive line. And then they're also blitzing their DBs at the 5th highest rate in football. And that was really useful against the Rams. They play a lot of condensed formations, sending their corners and safeties at Stafford really rattled him. So, look, this Colts team is going to be playing in January. They have one of the best individual game planning defensive coordinators in football in recent history. That's a big deal when you start thinking about those matchups.
Totally agree. And I think defensively, it's like watching a defense call plays like an offense.
Yeah.
Like there's always answers to the questions that offenses can in many ways pose to. This is that reduced split stuff. Up top, it looked like the nickel is going to be the pressure guy. Then the motion comes, and that safety kicks down 1 yard, and he becomes the trigger guy, unblocked, and there's a TFL. This is because that defensive line doesn't slant. So that's not a called run stunt. That's an answer to the pressure. Down in the red zone, they're not really showing zero here, but it comes at the snap. Couple things. They don't allow themselves to get picked in man coverage. They're always running over the top of things. And then they're well coached in understanding if you don't get there, mirror the throwing hand. That's a left hand. This is the red zone one you're talking about, MK. Both slots are uncovered, so as a quarterback, you're like, what's going on? It turns into this 3-man rush with both droppers. But when you look at it, it's a zone defense that has match principles. And once again, hands batted because those defensive linemen know you're not going to get home. You're going to impact the play because of the coverage. I think that's all attached to as a defense. you're not just getting calls anymore. It's not like, hey, we're playing over cover 3. It seems like, and I heard McAfee talk about this with the new ownership, listening into the play calls, that the defense is getting 2, 3, 4 calls a play, and they're making the call dependent upon the personnel in the formation.
Wow.
That's how you just did that.
That's now a pantomime show.
But
We're no longer talking.
I love. No, both of y'all are right. I love the corner pressure. MK, you brought it up, and it reminds me of when Lou Anarumo was obviously in Cincinnati, and he would use Mike Hilton in this way to speed things up for quarterbacks. But this was the one that I enjoyed the most, is bringing this slot corner off, pressuring Geno, and fooling him into thinking that vacated area was going to be his hot read. I think they do a phenomenal job, like you said, Dan, calling plays like an offense to dictate and determine where the ball is going to go, and then having these guys make plays on it. But that was one of those plays that reminded me of when we talked about the Cincinnati Bengals going to Kansas City and having a tremendous amount of success.
Yeah.
It was a lot of corner pressure, and Mike Hilton was the main guy that he used a lot in pressuring quarterbacks because he blitzed so well off those edges.
And bespoke game plans for elite quarterbacks. I mean, just put a pin in this. This is gonna matter in January.
Yeah, I agree.
I agree.
Bespoke game plans is something only you get from Phoenix Times. The best.
Plans.
All right, continuing in the division, the Texans are trying to turn things around after they started their season with 3 straight one-score losses against 3 top teams in the NFL: the Rams, the Bucs, and the Jags. Those teams are currently a combined 11-4. So since they've won 2 in a row. 2 dominant wins against the Titans and a depleted Ravens team. Those squads have combined 2-8. So, Dan, did the last 2 games make you a believer in the Texans turning things around, or is it just their competition?
Offensively, I'm so much more encouraged. First of all, the AFC South has become a gauntlet. You know, it's crazy. Defensively, it's the best unit we don't talk about, but the connectivity of their offense is changing. Okay, 6 offensive linemen. It's a wave in the NFL. If you're not doing it, you're missing out. And that's allowing just them to fire off the football. 2023, it was this awesome under-center play-action in-breakers. We haven't seen them in the first 2 weeks. We've started to see them a little bit more in the last 2 weeks. And then their backs have been so good. Nick Chubb, I have no idea how he's doing it, but he's like their inside running back. And then this rookie, Woody Marks, is a really nice player out on the perimeter. And I think they need to get him more touches. The defense is violent. They go downhill. It's the best unit in the NFL that's not getting enough attention. But I'm so much more encouraged with the style of offensive football that they have tried to play and played in the last 2 weeks than they did the first 2 or 3.
I want to believe.
Opponent?
I'm
with that.
Some busted coverages, guys wide open, the under center. It felt like CJ Stroud must have felt the best he's felt in this game
like,
in
stylistically,
2 years.
at least
But we've been wondering where's the under center play action, where's Nico Collins on the deep digs that he's so good at.
Right.
And you certainly saw it in this game. Granted, again, they were so unchallenged up front, it was hard to get a feel for it. But I think your point is good, which is that this defense is so good, and they've been so good. I'm put on the Rams tape, by the way. That they made Matthew Stafford
awesome
work
unit.
for every single yard. The offense doesn't have to be great. They just have to be competent. And if this is a step towards competency, then I will believe in this team again. But I really want to see them do it against
a real opponent, real defense, But I'm at least encouraged by what they're trying to do.
Yeah. They've been doing this without Joe Mixon, too, by the way. Nick Caserio said this morning Joe Mixon's making progress, but they're